Well, the fix was in. From the beginning, Alec Baldwin, after he killed this producer on the set of Rust by pulling the trigger of a gun and after he pointed it at somebody, um, whether he had knowledge of there being a live round of ammunition in it or not, basic firearms handling that is taught to this actor before he's given a gun is to not ever point the gun at somebody. They don't. It's all smoke and mirrors on camera for the movies, but you don't actually point the gun at somebody. So look at this. The originally they didn't bring him up on charges, and outrage grew. So they brought him up on charges, and then they dismissed him. And then outrage grew for the special treatment for this Hollywood liberal actor. And then they brought him up on charges again because he's guilty, because he pulled the trigger, and there's so much evidence that he pulled the trigger. He tried claiming, oh, I didn't pull the trigger, it just went off. Yeah, it just so happened to go off when you pointed it at somebody. The gun has to have some sort of an outside force in order for it to go off. It does not just go off sitting there. So he was brought up on charges, and now apparently somebody sent the prosecutor a box of ammunition and said, "Oh, this was a box of ammo that may have been used on the set of Rust." All right. The prosecutor didn't believe that it actually was used on the set, so they never brought it up and disclosed it to the other side. They weren't planning on using it. It has no bearing on the case. It was submitted by somebody anonymously. They said that it was used on the set of Rust, so it has no bearing on the case. But that was the excuse that was used by the judge here to dismiss the case, saying the prosecutor did not bring forward this evidence, and she thinks it could have had some bearing on the case. I don't see how. Alec Baldwin said that the ammunition that the gun just went off. Ammunition doesn't just go off. The gun doesn't just go off. Whether this box of ammo was related to the case or not, it was not being used for any purpose in the case. So therefore, it could not help either party, benefit either party. But that's what it was used as the excuse to dismiss the charges for Alec Baldwin. Watch.
Last night, a New Mexico judge dismissed the charges against actor Alec Baldwin in his high-profile involuntary manslaughter trial. Baldwin was charged for the death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of his movie Rust. We have chief correspondent Jonathan Hunt with this remarkable story. There for everything.
Anyone else
Jonathan,
would have been charged and prosecuted and followed
Molly,
through.
yeah, you know, of all the trials that I've covered,
Anyone.
I'd be hard-pressed to think of a single more dramatic day in a courtroom than what we witnessed yesterday. It ended,
It was
of course,
expected.
with Alec Baldwin, the actor, breaking down in tears, hugging his lawyers, hugging his wife.
Yeah, he's an
after
actor.
The judge in the case
Looks more
said
like he's
this.
smiling.
The state's willful withholding of this information was intentional and deliberate. Your motion to dismiss with prejudice is granted.
It's ridiculous. A liberal
Now,
judge.
What she's talking about there is the bullet evidence that was brought up yesterday. A package of bullets that was handed to prosecutors a few months ago by someone who said they might be connected to the shooting back in 2021 on the set of the movie Rust. The judge asked to examine those bullets. It turns out
What
that
difference
the
would that have
prosecutors
made?
had them, but had not shared that evidence.
It wouldn't
with
have
the
made a
defense.
lick
Now,
of difference.
prosecutors said they didn't think it was relevant because they didn't think those bullets had anything to do with the Rust movie. The judge clearly disagreed. And then we had this very personal spat, if you like, between defense lawyers and
just
the
a
lead
reason
prosecutor
to dismiss
about whether
Alec
the
Baldwin.
prosecutors were just out to get Baldwin. Listen here.
Yeah, right.
The truth of this matter is, you don't like Mr. Baldwin very much, do you?
You know, that is absolutely untrue. I actually really appreciate Mr. Baldwin's movies. I really appreciate it. the acting that he did on Saturday Night Live, and I really appreciate his politics.
Another liberal.
Now, Carrie Morrissey is, of course, taking some criticism as the lead prosecutor for having withheld
Appreciates
that
his
evidence,
politics.
those bullets
Kind of
from
extreme.
the defense lawyers. That is what led, rather than any personal animus, that evidentiary matter is what led
So there
to
you
the
go.
case
Another
being
rich
dismissed.
white
I asked
guy,
her afterwards
famous
if she felt
Hollywood,
she had let down
let off the hook.
Alina Hutchins' family. She said, no, we did everything
If this was
we
a
could.
person of color or a poor person, they'd be in
Jonathan
jail.
Hunt, tremendous job reporting, pulling that all together for us. I know that